February 10, 3:36 p.m. District Court. Courtroom number 7. Now then, before I proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the tests we have performed earlier. Alright then, what do we got? What do you got, boss? Tests. Yes, tests. On the bloody dagger that was found stuck in the pine tree. Oh yeah, that. I forgot about it. Well, to be honest, I wasn't thinking about it too much, like last sections either. And that's the weapon that my a.k.a. used when she fought with the victim. So what are the results? Was the victim's blood or... Due to time constraints, a full test wasn't possible. However, there's one thing we can say for certain. The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood. Oh? Oh my. That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial. So it wasn't the victim's blood. Though you didn't manage to take like full tests and all that, so we don't really know whose blood it is. I wonder if it's the killer's. That or if this was Maya's. I don't know. So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. Then whose was it? Cause if this was Maya's, then we surely would have noticed the blood pattern on her clothes when we seen her channeling Dahlia like yesterday. Unless she changed her clothes somehow, but she was in the sacred cavern all this time, so I doubt that she even had that much time to change her clothes, since she was stuck inside the sacred cavern. I sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Oh? Both sides will need to show some firm evidence with their claims. I understand, Your Honor. I mean, we have been doing this trial for a while. From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking. So, let's finish this quickly. Agreed. Lo and behold, this will take another 5 hours, though. Very well. Please bring in the last witness. Are you okay, sweetie? Witness, please tell us your name and the profession.
My a.k.a. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at writing call offices.
I mean, do you want some more burgers, sweetie? I'm sure that will cheer you up a little bit. According to the magazine I have here, you're a speed medium with the Crown channeling technique.
I'm frightened. The fake crown. I don't want any more to do with it.
Alright. The pain the fake bloodline causes must be unbearable. It's reaching a point. It's reaching a climax after all this time, that's for sure. Well, now then, Miss Faye. When the event occurred, you were in the garden of the inner temple. And you witnessed the moment of Miss Elise Dahlm's murder. Is this correct?
I didn't see it.
Straighten up this instant, young lady.
Eh?
Take your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later.
But I...
Your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witnesses come out. And you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright, well, thank you, Gato. Alright, well, let's see. Let's try and finish this as quick as possible. Maya.
I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled, and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" Then something warm splashed over me. And that's when I lost consciousness.
So you were struck on the head. And something warm splashed over you? What would that be? I suppose it must have been the stuff. Maya, the person who hit you. It was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry, Nick. I couldn't see. I don't know who it was.
Maya, think hard.
Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't.
Huh. Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. It seems that it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Well, I guess I can understand that. I mean, well, sort of. If we are to think that what Gato said is the truth, he did say that it was pitch black at that point because this lantern over here was not lit the night of the crime, so that could be an explanation for why Maya couldn't see who it was, if we are to go with that kind of mentality, so... Very well then, that's right. Please begin your cross-examination. Oh, yeah. Hang in there. She doesn't look well at all. Alright, well, well, actually, let me see if I can... Nah, I think that this is something that will need, like, further analysis. I don't really see, like, any contradiction right out of the bat, so... Who else was on the inner temple side that night?
Well, she's the bikini, of course. But I remember her saying that Iris would be coming later as well.
The day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini at Hasukura Temple. That means she couldn't be the criminal. So then, did Iris actually come later like she said? Yeah, I have my doubts that it was Bikini that did it. She is innocent in this.
Well, let me think.
She seems confused. It's probably because she's so tired.
No, I'm sure I didn't see her. She must have come while I was preparing for the training. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head.
Who did it? Who hit you?
Oh, well, I didn't see who it was. I'll see it from behind.
You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was?
Oh. Let me think for a second. Oh, sorry. I just can't remember.
I guess really having a hard time. I tried too. Well, if you couldn't see, then... Can you tell us, like, some details that you've noticed during that time? Something that can be of importance to us, even though you wouldn't seem to... Like, maybe... Like, some sound, maybe. Some smell or something. Come on, man. This isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person?
Oh, let me think. It was, Oh yeah! That's right! It was dark, that's it!
Okay. It was dark? Yeah, makes sense.
It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training.
Come to think of it, there was either earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime, which is why she didn't see her attacker. I thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not. I don't know, I mean, she could be hiding some stuff, if we are unfortunate enough. Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely the spirit that was channeled by Elise Dawn, Dahlia Halform. Very well, please continue your testimony. What happened after you were struck on the head? This is still a little confusing. Like, why would Elise Dawn channel Dahlia in the first place? It's not like spirits are capable of possessing spirit mediums on their own. It is up to the spirit medium to channel the spirit. So that would mean that Elise made a conscious decision over there to channel Dahlia. But for what reason? What happened afterwards?
My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape. I think.
You think?
After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only two things rolling around in my mind at the time.
Well, no. This is beginning to get interesting. So, what were the two things rolling around in your mind?
My name is Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2.
Well, I guess it's good to work your mind a little bit from time to time, but I don't think that was the right time for you to think about math, Maya.
You see, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was going to lose my memory. It's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was.
That's not odd at all. Your actions are understandable, given the circumstances. So, what did you do then? Well, the judge is being considerate over here. You think you screamed, but you're not sure?
Listen, it was a complete wreck. It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man? A woman? An adult? A child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits.
Well, believe me, my dear. I certainly would have sold my robes. Ew. Well, I guess so. Peeing is a normal reaction at times.
I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought that it was my last hope.
Oh. So poor little Maya really was out of her mind. But I wonder what she meant by last hope. What did I do? Did I press her for more details? Yeah, let's ask her about her last hope. Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff?
What? What do you mean by your last hope?
No. That's what you said. You said my last hope.
Huh? What? I said what?
Well, I guess Maya is recovering a bit by bit, what with this weird discussion that we're having off here, but still. Do you need more burgers? Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see, and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me!"
Yeah.
But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope.
Oh. Well, you know, that's like... What do you call it when that happens?
Maya's not doing so well here.
Yeah, Oh, that's right! I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at.
What did you just say?
Yeah, that's right.
I guess it makes sense. You wouldn't scream "Help me" to the attacker to help her save her. But she definitely screamed to someone else?
It was the person behind my attacker that I was yelling at.
The person behind your attacker?
That's who I was screaming to for help.
What is it now?
I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out.
What? Did we just finish the cross-examination without even contradicting with evidence? Did she just do the job for us? Hey? Witness, I am so sure of what you're saying. Behind the attacker, there was another person?
I mean, well, I meant to keep that part a secret. Have I done?
Huh. It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say.
Ton of pressure.
You're in a court of law here. You cannot make things up or try to hide things in this chamber. Witness, the information you just presented is vital to the case. I mean, we did establish previously, when we were cross-examining Dahlia, that someone stabbed her. That's for sure. So I wonder. What I wonder about even more is that Maya saying that she was trying to keep that a secret. But for what reason? I want you to add it to your testimony.
I could see a man behind my attacker, by the light of the stone lantern.
Oh? A man? Who was this man? You were able to see that he was a man?
Well, you see, I couldn't see.
You can see. She's used this excuse twice now.
Well, you know, lantern light isn't very bright.
Lantern light, did you say?
There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. They always light it when an acolyte is there for training. Hey, you know what they say? Under the lantern, darkness reigns. So I could see the person that was further away, but not my attacker, who was closer. Plus, there weren't any other light sources in the garden at the time.
Oh, yeah, but didn't you say about the person that was attacking you that you couldn't even identify who, like, their gender or something? And yet you're telling us that you were able to see that he was a man that attacked the attacker.
Then something warm splashed over me.
You don't mean... was it?
I didn't know it at the time, but I think it was probably blood.
She's saying that's when Miss Donham, who was chilling Dahlia, was stabbed in the back by the killer? That could be it.
At that moment, I was paralyzed with fear. I was just sitting there in the snow. I'm sure blood got on everything around me. That's when I lost consciousness.
So what happened next?
I don't remember.
How are you saved? You don't even remember that?
No. I haven't gotten any idea. I really don't know what happened at all.
That's too bad. I worked side by side with Maya for 2 years now. I can tell when she's trying to hide something by how she acts. And right now, I'm absolutely certain she's hiding something. Yeah, she's definitely hiding something, that's for sure. Like, she's saying that she could see a man behind her attacker by the light of the stone lantern. By the light of the stone lantern, you say? But we do know that the lantern was not lit. That's what the Garo said. That and what we just discussed before about how you were able to see the man attack the attacker, but you couldn't see the attacker, like your original attacker. Like you couldn't even tell that it was a male or female or a child or an old man or something. That's what you said, Maya. That is definitely what you said. So there was a man standing behind your attacker.
Yeah.
That man. He is the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise Donner. Otherwise known as Missy Faye, your mother.
The killer.
Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she's in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony.
Huh? What do you mean? What a problem?
Maya, on the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission.
What?
It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night.
No!
Order in the court. But Mr. Garo, explain this. Add the pureness of milk to the perfect, clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of café au lait. I think that's how you say it. Café au lait? Olay? Café au lait? Is that even legal? Mr. Troy's words are the milk and you are the spoon. Your Honor. I'm a spoon? I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know. You must have noticed it too, Troit. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that. Sorry, but that's not going to cut it. What did you say? Yeah, I mean, we do know Maya more than anyone else around here. She is in an unstable state, but at the same time, she is Maya. We know when she's lying. If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony.
Nick.
May I? Recall the witness's statement about her attack. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a man. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker. And she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person. Despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of her own attacker.
No!
Order! 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 When the world does this all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch black conditions?
Objection!
Shite. Do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? Yeah, that is true. Despite the fact that Maya couldn't see in the dark, and she definitely couldn't see the attacker, she was able to see the one that attacked the attacker. In which case, it could be that she was going by instinct, knowing that there was someone else behind the attacker at that point. Or there was something that happened at that point that made Maya realize who the person was behind the attacker. I'm not sure what though. There was no other light source at the scene.
Objection!
There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Gato. Maya, he did see who the attacker was in the dark. And now, you're trying to cover for him. Cover? For the man that killed her mother? Oh. Okay, I think I understand what is going on over here. How Maya managed to recognize who the person was behind that attacker. There was definitely another source of light at that point in the dark that made Maya realize who the attacker was, that's for sure. I think I know who it is, and how Maya managed to realize who that person was. There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is.
Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you.
Huh. You talk a good game, Trite. But let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff.
No, Nick, don't! Please, stop.
Maya's dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I cannot let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth. Alright, Miss Wright. Time to show us what you got. Who was this person that you say Miss Say saw in the darkness? You know, it kinda reminds me of that one point when we caught Furio Tigre. His breakdown was so chaotic that it broke all the lights in the court. The only thing that we were able to see was some red lights of sorts. And we know where those red lights came from. Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? What? But how do you propose to show something like that? I mean, we could turn off the lights in the court and, you know, have like a sleepover.
Nighty-night.
It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night. The conditions? Yeah. The defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off. Okay, I was mostly joking about that, but hey, we could do that. Okay, what the fuck are we even doing right now? What? This is... But it can't be. Huh. That was a nice bit of deduction. Try it. Well, everyone. This is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. Order! 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 Prosecutor Gato, what is the meaning of this? I mean, that would explain why we didn't even have Gato in the first day of trial, but instead we have Francisco. He was on the inner temple side all that time. Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it? Ha! Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person. But what do you mean by that? If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night? Was it three glowing red lights? Well, witness, answer the question.
You're wrong. I never saw that.
Maya.
I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man. For a totally different reason.
What? Witness. Mr. Wright, what? Stop your chattering, Your Honor. Chattering? If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Alright. Well, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man. Okay, well, I think that we're gonna go with that idea from now on, that Maya saw the red lights. However, it would seem that Maya is trying her damnedest to protect Gato, in which case now she's gonna say that she saw the man for a totally, completely different reason, and we're gonna hear that reason in the next cross-examination. And in which case, we're definitely gonna have to contradict that.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but
Alright. The killer.
when I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man.
So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor,
No need to apologize. It's as Mr. Gato said. You're already exhausted. It's only natural that you will be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume that culprit was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. Okay then. This doesn't seem like something I can... Like, I don't really see the contradiction, like, right off the bat here, a little bit, but...
when I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor.
So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden. Is that right?
Yes, I think. I think it happened when the victim was stabbed.
So then the person that carried you into the inner temple, you only have been the killer.
That's what I think, too.
So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple.
By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed.
Naturally, the killer must have done it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide.
I don't know.
Yeah, so she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to get her some more information before I ask her again. Get her some more information before you ask her again. Is that a hint? I wonder if that's a hint. That we're definitely gonna have to press that again, like after a while. The torches were lit?
Yes, that's why I noticed that whole scene had changed.
I'm going to say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be? The killer probably lit them since it would be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the effort of moving the body? That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to a killer. I mean, there was the whole plan with what the Iris and Dahlia did. Well, actually, not Dahlia, but... If we are to think that... Well, actually, I'm completely forgetting about this little detail. Iris definitely cooperated with the killer to move the body and all that. So, if we are to think of Gato as our killer, then that would mean that Iris was cooperating with him. For what reason, though? I mean, I can definitely understand that Iris will cooperate with Dahlia, but with Gato? only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was there in the temple, Maya. And if that's the case, then Iris and Gato definitely met before. Well, let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene.
And all the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too.
So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? Man, they look really odd. The snow was removed in a natural-looking rectangular shape around the lantern.
There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy. Way too heavy for me to use.
Not so indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow anyway? Well, there is one thing I can think of. I mean, if there was blood there, then that would be an explanation. Didn't you say that a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow?
Yeah. The area collapsed and ended up being splattered.
In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a little odd. That's true. I mean, before I was thinking that the reason why our killer cleaned it like that was because they were trying to make us think that, oh, this is how it originally was, but that doesn't really make that much sense because, hey, snow is snow. When it snows, it covers like a lot of the area. This would imply that somebody else was cleaning that particular shape around the stone lantern. Which, if I have to think about it a little bit more, why would anyone do that? For aesthetics? I won't say that is really aesthetically pleasing, nor does it feel like it's that important to leave it like a rectangular shape like that for just so that it will look good. So maybe it's a little bit more complex than what I was originally thinking. Like our killer cleaned the area around the snow in a rectangular way for some particular reason, not just to take the snow. Because if they wanted just to hide the bloody snow, then they would have taken the portion that, well, had the snow. Like, I don't know. He could have scooped up just the snow that was stained with blood. Yeah, that's true. I mean, unless, just like I thought before, unless the killer wanted to make sure that we wouldn't suspect that some portions were scooped up because someone was cleaning the blood, but here we are talking about the rectangular shape and us thinking straight away that it is because the killer scooped the snow with the blood. So if they wanted to make it a rectangular shape like that, then, well, that was a failure. And we were thinking of that idea anyway. So I don't know. It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue.
But I think this will help explain them.
Oh?
Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed he was a man.
So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right?
Yes.
But earlier you very clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker.
I'm sorry.
The person went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on.
When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor.
Actually, let me see about some stuff. Let me go through this again.
The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something.
You did?
Yes, I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence from me, for my sake.
What? Hiding it for you? For you?
Everyone knew that I was the only one at the end of the temple that night. Since the beginning, I come back and looked at the garden.
She may have thought that you had done it. Oh. So that's why you're saying that. So you're saying that your killer was protecting you? No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened?
Yeah, I'm sure of it. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, this doesn't really make sense. If the killer went through all that trouble of moving the snow, moving the body from one place to another, then what's with the writing in blood at that point? If the killer wanted to clean everything up, why didn't they clean the blood, like the writing in blood? Though, if I am to remember something that happened before, back when we were discussing the writing in blood, Gato was definitely shocked about it for some unknown reason. I was thinking that it was something that clearly was ruining his plan, whatever it was, but... Oh. Okay. I think I'm starting to see it now. Huh. Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I wonder if you can use this in this cross-examination. I wanted to add that to your testimony. Yes, Your Honor. I think it was for my sake that the killer cleaned up the evidence of what had happened.
Yeah. I mean, if I am to think about it, our killer cleaned up everything. Except the writing in blood that was on the stone lantern. Why didn't our killer clean that up as well? Well, maybe it's because our killer was not even aware of that. Still, it kinda makes me question, if Gato is the killer, and if we are to go with the idea that he didn't even see that writing, then that would mean that it is because of his vision? That he sees everything in red or something? Still, if we are to think about how a person would only see everything around them in a color of some sort, there will be a clear distinction between the red and the white, right? Unless there is not, in which case the writing in blood would blend in with the white on the stone lantern. Like, from his perspective, that red writing would blend in with the stone lantern. Like, that's what I'm thinking, but what do I know? I have never been Cyclops. I never seen everything around me in red. Maybe I should try that at one point. The body of Elise Donen was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then at the garden, the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd. Oh? And what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Gato. Is the message written in blood on the lantern? It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. Or I am spelled backwards. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe the writing of the lantern? Oh, you're right. Order! 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 But Mr. Wright, isn't it the fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene? Indeed, but it doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bodies, no. Then not white off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing.
Objection!
But if that's the case, they have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior. Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it. Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern? The killer wrote it to pin the crime on Maya. The killer didn't notice it. Well, I mean, there's also the possibility that the killer wrote it. But if we were to think of Gato as the one that did it, not only was his behavior suspicious before when we were talking about the bloody writing, as if he wasn't even aware of the bloody writing, but it contradicts with everything else. I mean, after all, we were all talking about how the killer was Iris. I mean, she's the one that we have been defending all this entire time, not Maya. So, yeah, the killer didn't notice it. Prosecutor Gato. Earlier in this trial, he gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on a stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it.
But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that.
You're right. There is no way any normal person would. What? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright? There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether. And who would that be? Who is the person that could have failed to notice the bloody writing? Once again, we're gonna go with Mr. Gato over here. Mr. Gato, this is what you said yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still cannot see everything. You cannot see everything? Is that correct, Mr. Gato? This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. This lantern? There's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood. Nonsense! This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. Mr. Gato, just admit it. There are certain colors you cannot see, correct? You cannot see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before. During the poisoning case at Très Bien. Yeah, that's true. He wasn't able to see the blood on the apron. He thought it was coffee, from what I remember. And this is the apron that the life of Miss Bird was wearing at the time, and somehow spilled coffee on. There's something still bothering me, Mr. Gato. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court? Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? But don't play the games, prosecutor. The blood color stain that's smeared all over the apron. That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a bloodstain. You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. It is interesting how past cases also help us in determining Gato's possible actions in this case, if he was the killer. First was the red lights in the dark, and now the stains of red that he cannot see on white background. It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that cannot see them? So then, Mr. Garo, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you cannot see the red writing on the lantern? Hey, Gramps. Didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea. I'm not sure about that to know it. I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Gato is the murderer. But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Gato, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elistoni, also known as Miss Misty Faye. It's hard to believe this may be true. However, once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Ha! Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on. How does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. Objection! I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, Trite. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow. The snow? How so? Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Yana, you said it yourself. If he wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not take out just that area? Huh. That's true. Like, I was asking this before. It wouldn't be for aesthetics. Or to make it seem like there was never snow there to begin with, since more than likely it would have snowed up until that point. So maybe Gato took that snow because he didn't know where the red splashes were. So just to make sure that he took all the blood from the snow, he took a lot of the snow around the stone lantern. That's why there was that rectangular shape to it. He couldn't even tell where the blood was on the snow. So instead, he took out all the snow. Yes, why did he take just that? Oh, could it be? Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. And so, he had to remove all the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed. So he removed the whole area. Objection! Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. I mean, it was said before that the stone lantern was lit at that point. The torches were all lit. He would have been able to see just fine. It seems that once again, this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Yeah, I mean, seriously. First we have the return of Dahlia, and now this. God damn it. Gato, why? Can you explain this, Mr. Gato?
Wait just a minute.
Maya. What is it with us?
Mr. Gato isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Objection!
Maya. You cannot testify to something like that.
But why? What do you mean? I mean only...
After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't? I'm afraid I don't follow. Are you senile, old man? We established this just over a while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, well, that's right.
Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me.
Maya. Do you plan to cover for Gato no matter what the cost? For what purpose, Maya? For what purpose? I mean, hell, we're talking about the possibility that Gato killed your own mother as well. So why would you do such a thing? If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Nicely done, Wright. Very well. Let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the inner temple after the murder.
Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearly was there at the inner temple too.
After the incident.
Pearly was also stuck on the inner temple side that night. And the next morning, she looked around, but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. And that's when Mr. Gato arrived at the temple for the first time. He found Pearly first, and cheered her right up.
Who is this Pearly again?
That's my little cousin, Buffet.
So when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. But what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony.
What? Come on! Pearly would never tell a lie. She's way more honest person than I'll ever be.
Well, smart, Maya. You know it's not the best thing to say when you're under oath. Ha! The prosecution has no objection. I believe the witness. But, Mr. Gato, let's just move on to the cross-examination. If the defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but... well, Mr. Wright? Let's get this cross-examination started. Alright, let's find another piece of evidence that will lead us to Gato once more. Let's see.
Pearly was also stuck on the inner temple side that night.
So, where did you think Pearl slept that night?
In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you cannot enter the training hall during an acolyte's training.
But even so, why did she go to the inner temple in the first place? It seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya.
Well, she knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense.
Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to an inner temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Donna.
The next morning, she looked around, but couldn't find anyone.
She searched the entire inner temple site, end to end.
Well, you see, Pearly gets pretty scared when she's alone. And there weren't that many places to look. She said that she even went back and forth several times.
The inner temple site has two structures, the training hall and a spare prep room.
And there's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it.
And there was a storage shack too. Pearls was looking for other people, right? Would you have really examined the storage shack all that carefully?
Well, if it was me, that would be the first place I would investigate.
So that means it's possible that someone may have been hiding in the storage shack. In the storage shack? Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge.
What do you mean?
I was just wondering why she would stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge.
No. Brody said she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during the night that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times.
Oh, poor little girl. Alone like that. We know that she had at least one friend in the Sacred Cavern. Dahlia Hawthorne, who was busy battling with the trick lock. Oh, good thing that she was trapped there, otherwise... She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to pros. That's good. What happened after the bridge was finally fixed?
That's when Mr. God arrived in the inner temple for the first time.
I wonder about that. That's something that we're gonna have to question. So it was your first time on the inner temple side, Mr. Gado? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the fans ask me a question? That's right. Please hear your questions for the witness.
No can do.
What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor. Touche, Mr. Wright. Oh well. What do you have to say, Mr. Garo? Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. If it hadn't have been for this case, I never would have visited there. A freezing cold temple in the mountains. I think I'll pass. So you have never visited Houseguard Temple or their temple, huh? Yeah, I don't know about that one. You want to say something, Trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Gado's armor. Well, I cross-examined mine, that is. Well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the inner temple side, right?
Yes, then Mr. Gado... He found Party first, and checked her right up.
I think that the last statement is something that we're gonna have to question. The one before this one. The one that we're gonna have to contradict. That's when Mr. Gado arrived for the first time. He cheered her up? Wait?
That's what Party said. She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Gado.
Here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict. Huh. Cut it out. You're making me blush. This guy is really beginning to get on my nerves. In more ways than one. The truth is, there aren't that many places to look on the inner temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-toothed combs. And some were even looking with literal combs. Big, large combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation my own way. Gado style. Oh, I'm the same way. I like to hand down verdicts in my own way. Judge style. Maybe I should ask some questions. Phoenix style. Alright. Let me ask you something about your investigation, Gado. Noby style. You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, right? After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Eh? Mr. Faye, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Yeah, about that one. Western taste? Can you find a stranger way to describe gravy? So from there, you headed for the prep room? Wait a second. What did Gado just say now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Gado when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the inner temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elistone. Yeah. About that one. Like I said, I think that this is the statement that we're definitely gonna have to contradict. That we have to tell them that, yes, Gato was already there. He visited Inner Temple before. This, like, it wasn't the first time when he was investigating. And that proof is... this one. Like, he said, like, right now that he saw Misty Faye in the Japanese garb. But if you are to look at the hanging scroll over here, it's all covered in gravy. I mean, no doubt that he saw the gravy as well. However, when we first arrived in the temple, when the bridge was finally fixed, the gravy was already there. And if Gato were to investigate that place for the first time, he only would have seen the gravy, not the beautiful woman in Japanese garb. Because if he saw the beautiful woman in Japanese garb, then that would mean that he saw the hanging scroll before it was covered in gravy. I mean, unless the hanging scroll was cleaned up, like at some point, like after we arrived at the inner temple, in which case that would be completely possible, but I mean, we don't know if it was cleaned or not. The only thing that I know is the contradiction that I'm seeing right over here, so let's see. Mr. Gato, the first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went to the inner temple was long before the murder took place.
But why do you say that?
Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall. Hanging scroll?
But Mr. Gato is right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother.
Maya, I know you know who it is, but here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired, 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this. What's that wonderfully delicious smell? The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy.
Gravy? But why gravy, Nick?
Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Gato, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Faye.
But wait a minute, Nick.
Yes?
Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there.
Oh, that. Is the mark of the master correct?
Exactly. So if you know the meaning of the mark...
Then you could guess that it was a picture of Mr. Faye on there. But... then again, how would you know that behind that gravy was a beautiful woman in Japanese garb? Maybe it was a beautiful man in Japanese garb. True, but Mr. Gato described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western taste.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. It's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Well, for all we know, she could have been wearing like alien clothing. Mr. Gato, on the day of the murder, you were hiding in the inner temple long before the crime took place. Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed.
That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene.
So we have to provide evidence that he knew about the crime beforehand. Well, I mean, that's easy. It is easy for someone like me. Of course Mr. Gato knew about the plan.
Eh?
What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew that plan? It is possible. If they read this letter over here, like orders from Morgan Fay, Pros definitely knew about this, but who's to say that Gato didn't know about this from this letter that he possibly could have found at some point? This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fei altered the plan for her daughter's future, and these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fei Manor for a year. However, by the time the Pros found these instructions, they had already been unsealed. Unsealed? Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pros ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was to take place at the inner temple. He still insists this crafty killer is me. You bet your ass I do. They just said that the instructions were hidden.
That's right. Mr. Gato couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden.
If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out. What would that be? Yes, and when was that? During a visit.
A visit?
Morgan Fei told her daughter, Pearl, about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. Okay, I see where we're going with this, Nick. So you're saying that Gato went and sneaked in a little bit to hear what Morgan Fei had to say. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center? Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Especially for prosecutors. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Gato. Order! 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 Mr. Gato, you're under fire again. This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you. You were the only one that could have acquired this information before the murder. Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there is a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then, he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all that just to protect this witness. That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. Oh, actually there would be one reason, if I'm to think about it. If I'm to think about your past. And what do you see? I'm certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect his witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural. However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Gato? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs.
I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick?
Maya, I guess you were doing your best to cover for Gato. For the same reason, huh? Oh, because of a special reason. A special person that is dear to Maya. That is also dear to Gato. Okay, try it. I'm all ears. Let's hear it. It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you. What was this? There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey together inextricably. And that person is, no doubt, Mia Fey. The prosecutor that died years ago. Maya's older sister and someone very special to Garo. That's what ties the two of them. That's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister.